No matter if it's the movies, TV, books, or even classic opera, Vikings have been all over pop culture for centuries. They're portrayed as drunk, horned helmet-wearing, bumbling savages, raiding villages and spreading fear and fright. But Vikings were also fearlessly sailing the seven seas and, though long gone, left a cultural legacy felt all over the world to this very day. So what do we really know about these people that dominated large chunks of Europe 1,000 years ago? What were their lives really like? And most importantly to me, what did they eat? Welcome to the third episode of Curiosity Stream's show, where we learn about legendary creatures and figures of the past and try to eat and cook like them. Today, we're all about Vikings and I'm on a boat. Not just any boat, although this is just a random boat, but what matters is where I am on this boat. Let me explain. In order to learn about Vikings, I had to go to the source, which is of course Scandinavia, the legendary northern part of Western Europe. Me and the team hopped on a plane to Stockholm, the capital of Sweden. These days, it's a beautiful city boasting impressive architecture as well as a bustling food and culture scene. But back in the day, before Stockholm even officially became a city, this region was one of the centers of Viking culture and activity. We did not find any horns or boats on the streets, but that's not really what we came for. The reason we're here is not just to breathe some Nordic Viking air, but to get to this place, the Viking Museum of Stockholm. They graciously agreed to show us around and answer any questions we might have about Vikings and their food. And for that, we'd like you to meet Erik Östergren, archaeologist and Viking expert specializing in mythology and runes.
Ever since I was a child, my family has had an history interest. The first stories I remember from growing up, my father would tell me about like the Old Norse gods and mythology. So I grew up with these things, and there are photos of me standing next to a rune stone. I'm like 2 or 3 years old. But then when I was going to pick something at university, I was like, well, archaeology, it's on the first page because it starts with an A. And then I kind of got stuck. And then after a few years of working with different museums, a friend noticed that you should apply for this, Erik. And I was like, why not? And now I'm here at the Viking Museum. I've been here for more than 4 years. The word Viking that we use, it's quite close to perhaps the word pirate. So most people, they were farmers, they wanted to get on with their lives, they would stay in their farms, and they would have long houses with their animals, they would have these fields where they grow things. Some of these farms, they perhaps would specialize in different things. They know how to make textile, they know how to make the thread, they know how to make the food, they know how to grow the land, and perhaps some basic smithing skills, and also some know how to build a ship or something. But to explain the word Viking itself, there are different theories. And one of my favorite theories, that doesn't mean it's true, it's just the one I like. But in the Scandinavian languages, a bay is called a vik, like a natural harbor. And if you have your ship in a bay, you go out from the vik and you're a Viking. In modern English, it would be like you go out from the bay and then you're a Beijing, but that's already occupied by the Chinese capital, although there are some different opinions and theories about this. When we talk about the Viking Age and Vikings, it's not easy just to pinpoint this is Vikings, but most often we focus on Scandinavia, Sweden, Norway and Denmark, but also other parts of Northern Europe. So the world of the Viking Age people, it's quite big, but it's not easy to just pinpoint like that. Depending on what kind of way of dating that we use for understanding when the Viking Age was, because it can start in the year 793, or we say that the Viking Age began in 750-ish, because why be too strict about it? For most people in the Viking Age, the ordinary life, I would say I'm quite happy that I live today, even though I would like to, sometime I'd like to have a moment of seeing what it was like in the past, but I have a quite nice life today. And for many people, it's hard work. You need to make things work, you need to work the land, you need to take care of the animals. If I want clothes, I buy my clothes. But in the Viking Age, you need to take care of the sheep. Who takes care of the sheep? Someone takes care of the sheep. And you need to give them food. Who grows the food? Someone grows the food. So there are so many steps that need to work in the Viking Age, and these are the things that I would like to see more of in pop culture. So what was life like in the Viking Age? So many different things, but we must also remember that these were individuals, they were humans, they had dreams and emotions and stuff. That's something that perhaps don't fit in the Viking Age, but we should appreciate it. It was there.
Do you think it's possible to recreate Viking food today?
I would say yes, indeed.
Hold up. That is exactly what we needed to hear from Eric. After this, we spent the second half of our interview interrogating him about all things Viking food, and we'll share our findings in a bit, don't worry. But to recreate a Viking dish for ourselves, we had to do a little raid of our own. In a Swedish supermarket, that is. Between cinnamon buns, caviar cream and black rye bread, we picked everything we need and headed back to our little getaway by the sea to start cooking a meal fit for a gang of hungry Vikings. For more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to this channel right now and look for Curiosity Stream on social media. Links in the description. It's almost a tradition by now that whenever we're shooting this series, we have to go to some really cool place to truly get in the mood for the things that we're cooking. So quite fittingly, this time we are about an hour away from Stockholm in this truly beautiful place. This is the cottage we're staying in, which already looks nice, but wait until you've seen the view. Follow me, let me show you my crib. That's our gear, don't worry about that. And this is what we wake up to every morning. I imagine that this is the type of view the Vikings used to wake up to, maybe. But let me show you where we're gonna be cooking our dish. Hello. Grace is already prepping everything. This is our shooting setup for today. But without further ado, we're about to start cooking. And in the meantime, let our new friend Eric tell you a little bit more about what Vikings probably used to eat.
The food of the Viking Age was, of course, something that was very important. And it might feel so distant and we can't really grab it. But I think we can, because there's so many different ways we can know about food from the Viking Age. And we can read in different texts. We don't get much information. We don't have recipes from the Viking Age, unfortunately. But we can read something, and we also have archaeology. If you find pottery, they can take samples from it and check it in a lab. They can also find bones from different animals. They can find grains or cereals that make us understand more about what they would grow. So there are so many ways to approach Viking Age food, and I think that we most definitely will be able to get quite close to what it would taste like in the Viking Age, for better or worse. And I follow some groups on Facebook where they cook Viking food, and like, I want to make something with carrots, but I do know that it's not the big orange ones that were around 1,000 years ago. Where can I get proper carrots? And they started to post these small yellow, like, it looks like, I don't know, old carrots, but still it's quite nice to really get a feeling for what things would look like. Other colors. I saw something about people putting like leek in porridge as well. So I think it's getting closer to a stew. When we were making food in the Viking Age, of course, we have this idea of the warrior sitting and having a piece of flesh on a bone, like the Gimli diet. I don't know what to call it, but that was probably quite rare because they had animals in the Viking Age. The farm needed animals. However, if you have a cow and the cow is alive, then you get milk, you get calves, you get help on the farm. If you eat the cow, that's the end of the story. Meat was expensive, and perhaps kings or jarls could have meat more often. And also the same with hunting. Hunting is something that rich people have the time to do, because you need to take farm of the rest of life. If we went back in time, we would probably think that the food tasted a little bit okay. It's not like a flavor explosion that we can have today after one trip to the supermarket, but there were some things to make it pop a little, and perhaps they could get salt from other places, or they would buy spices. Because of the contact net that the merchants of the Viking Age had, they could get so many different things. They would get nicer drinks perhaps, and different wares to drink from. There are different kinds of pots in the Viking Age, and either you have these clay pots that are very important for archaeologists, and ceramics are actually the most common kind of artifact that we find from the Viking Age. As I understand it, The main way to cook things in the Viking Age would be to put it on a pot and boil it. So you boil more or less everything so that you can make different kinds of stews, and then you can put in whatever you like, which is a quite efficient way to get things. And then you'll get your plate and get it up on there, and perhaps with some bread or a spoon or something. They didn't use forks the way we use forks now. So spoon, knife, hands, bread, that's the way to eat. The bread of the Viking Age, we have some archaeological finds, and if you ever had bread at home and you forget it for a while, you can be like, how could something like this survive for 1,000 years when I can't have it in my kitchen for 2 weeks? They seem to be like small, something handheld, I don't know what to say in English.
Tortilla.
No, still small loaves. In Sweden I would say a fralla, but we can't say that in English. You have no idea what a fralla is.
No. I can Google
bread
it.
roll.
Like a roll, like a bun.
A bun. A bun. Yes.
Okay,
oh, they're actually called birka buns in Swedish.
Really?
Yeah.
There you go.
It's a bun. The kind of waters that we have will of course affect what kind of fish that we can find, but I think they ate like eel and stuff. So whatever fish they could get, they would cook it. I really like mustard. I make my own mustard. I'm in a group called the Swedish Mustard Society. We're not very active, but still. Mustard is super interesting because of so many different reasons. And I really try to find sources for Viking Age mustard. They could have come by some mustard seeds, but I don't know of an excavation where mustard seeds have been found. I would so want Vikings to have had mustard. They deserve it. It's such a good way to make food taste good. So for most people, I think what you could grow is the most important part. Different cereals and barley and rye is very important. And with that you can make bread, porridge, and you can also make beer. That was important to drink in the Viking Age. And most people will probably eat a lot of porridge in different ways. We must also remember that the plants have changed over the last 1,000 years. Like if you go and look at a field nowadays, we see these huge plants and they have these big grains. But 1,000 years ago, perhaps it was a completely different view that we will have. So, and that's also one thing that I think we forget when we try to imagine history and prehistory, that even plants have changed. Maybe like fruits if you have them, and maybe some honey if you have it, but honey can be quite expensive. And also berries. I know in other parts of the world, when Santa comes at Christmas, you're supposed to give Santa cookies. In Scandinavia, you give him porridge. And and if you want to be really nice to Santa, give him some porridge with butter in it. So I think that maybe buttered porridge would be something.
The Viking meal has been served. There's one more thing, because I got this from the souvenir shop of the Viking Museum. And this has to be filled with Viking ale, also known as Swedish beer, for today. Because unfortunately, we did not have the time to make our own ale. That's for the next video.
Or mead.
So, or mead. Actually, right. We learned that on a true party, you would have mead, and ale or beer would be more of a, everyday kind of drink. But that's okay. Team first.
Actually, that's a great pour because it doesn't get too much foam.
Guys, first, cheers to the epic meal and the epic adventure.
Cheers.
Cheers.
That sounds wrong. Ah, yes. Now I'm in the mood for a party. I gotta say, it feels very cool to drink from a horn.
Does it taste like goat?
No. I'm realizing there's one downside to drinking from a horn.
Where do you put it?
Where do you...
I told you don't have a holder or anything.
How do I...
Now you have to hold it.
Here, I'll hold it while you eat.
Okay. Our first course in this Viking feast is a little Scandinavian-style malty rye bun with salted butter and pickled herring topped with a little bit of mustard, Grey Poupon, and of course a little sprig of dill. Senor?
Thank you.
Senorita?
Yes.
Hide behind the smørrebrød. So let's get a bite of this pickled herring. Sweet
Very
mustard.
sweet, yeah.
Sweet mustard, tangy pickled fish, a little bit of onions, rich from the butter, and malty from the rye bread.
The fish is a lot more tender than I thought it would be.
There's this a kick of saltiness, but it's still like sweet overall in the mouth.
Definitely an appetizer that wakes you up. It's pretty intense.
Yeah, very strong flavors.
Also, having Russian roots, everything that has dill tastes good to me automatically. Can I get my horn? Thank you. Ah!
Do you like the fish? No.
No? You don't like pickled fish?
It's a little bit strange to me. It's like not a flavor that I'm used to. So, like the butter really helps smooth it out for me.
True.
And the dill like has that like aftertaste that helps me. But like in between, I'm at the mercy of the mustard at this moment.
Okay. Can you hold my horn? Thank you. Second course, main course. So this is kind of like the centerpiece of our meal. We made a stew with turnips, leeks, chicken, rye flakes, and kale. And then we seasoned this with juniper berries and coriander seeds, which are spices that we assume are probably among the things that people in the Viking age would have had in their kitchens, in their furnaces, I don't know. And then we topped this off with a little bit of cilantro and eggs, because I mean, cilantro, I would not have expected Vikings to have cilantro, but if they had coriander seeds, they had cilantro, because it's the same thing, if you didn't know. And this is probably the meal that's closest to what people like really had back in the day, you know, porridgey, gruely type of food. Cheers. It's not bad.
Interesting.
It's a little bland, but that's probably historically accurate.
Actually, it smelled better than it tastes.
Yeah.
Definitely. It smelled awesome as it was cooking. Could use some soy sauce.
Ginger.
Yeah, it's true.
But I feel like this is something that you should or you could eat when you're sick. You know, like it's really hearty and there's not a lot of like spices that upset your stomach.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, the saltiness is missing somehow.
Yeah, it's true. It tastes super bland. But also,
Bland, yeah.
people back in the day would not have had a lot of salt available to them. So you always have to walk the line between being historically accurate and making something that you actually want to eat.
The chicken and the egg saves it all.
That's true. The chicken and the egg is good. To Freya, a person from the Viking age, that's all I know,
Goddess.
a goddess, that also gave the day Friday its name. That's a fact, actually. Cheers.
Cheers.
Could you hold my horn? Thank you. Time for dessert. This, my friends, is the thing that we're probably most familiar with. This is pretty standard porridge made from oats. We used half milk, half water. We added a generous knob of butter, sweetened everything with honey, and topped this with lingonberries and hazelnuts, which are things that were almost definitely available to people in the Viking age. And I'm pretty sure this one's not going to disappoint. So let's eat this. Oh my god.
It's so cold that it solidified. But you know what?
You have
the
to add
true
more milk or
Swedish,
whatever.
the true Swedish experience. Come now.
I need a knife to cut it. It turned into pudding. Cheers.
Sweet,
Is this like...
comforting, really good.
Yeah.
And like it's a great contrast between the honey and the lingonberries.
Yeah, that's true.
And the richness also adds this like really great base flavor to go with the oats.
Butter never hurt anyone. This is nice.
What does the hazelnut add to the oats?
I would say nuttiness.
There's a boat.
Nuttiness and sweetness are like two things that go really well with oats, if you ask me. And like for you, like Grace is not having hazelnuts because she's allergic. But I think if you added like toasted sesame seeds, that could do the trick.
Oh, so good. So good.
Very comforting. May I have my horn? Thank you. We are about to finish our dessert, pretty sure about that. And in the meantime, you guys can leave us a comment and tell us who we should cover next. We had Catherine the Great, we had the Grey Wolf, and now we had Vikings. So tell us who we should try to eat like next. And we want to leave you with a very important message from our Viking expert friend, Eric. Cheers to Eric.
Let's face it, when we look at movies about the Viking Age, there are bigger mistakes than mustard.
What are the biggest mistakes? The horns.
The horns. The horns on the helmet.
Really?
Oh.
There were no horns.
Dude.
For more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to this channel right now and look for Curiosity Stream on social media. Links in the description.